Hi, I'm Janae Claiborne and this is Sweet Potato Soul. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to use plant-based ingredients to replace eggs in all of your cooking. And not only will the end result be delicious and just as satisfying as the ones you used to make with eggs, but they'll also be more nutritious. This can be done so easily with products that are readily available, very inexpensive, and good for you. You can find them at Walmart, at Whole Foods, on the internet. You might already even have them in your kitchen. You'll be surprised by all the ways you can replace eggs in your cooking. Before we jump in, please take a second to leave a thumbs up on this video and to subscribe to Sweet Potato Soul. Oh, you do have my cookbook in stock? Great, thanks, bye. Have you ordered my cookbook, Vegan Vibes, yet? You're gonna love this book. It's got 100 delicious vegan recipes that are inspired by the South, by my travels all around the world, and just like good food. You know what I'm saying? Order today. Let's talk about why eggs are so expensive really quickly, because they are really expensive. Now, for many, many months, going on a year now, there has been a bird flu pandemic in the United States, which has caused egg prices to soar. The majority of the eggs that are produced in the United States that are on the grocery store shelves are coming from factory farms. And factory farming operations are breeding grounds and just like the perfect environment for the spread of diseases, especially diseases like the bird flu. These animals are kept in such inhumane, filthy, tight quarters and conditions, so tight that these chickens have got to have their beaks cut off so that they do not peck each other to death. They are living in literal hell. That's where you get most of your eggs if you're shopping for eggs at the grocery store. And these are the chickens that are turning up with the bird flu. In the last quarter of 2024 alone, which is where I could find the most recent estimates, over 20 million chickens were killed because of the bird flu. Not to be eaten, not for their eggs to go to grocery stores, killed and destroyed, disposed of because of the bird flu, because they are living in such inhumane, just terrible conditions. Now, you might not have any interest in becoming vegan. You might just be watching this video because you want to save money because eggs are too damn high. So if that's you, keep watching. I'm going to show you how you can replace eggs in your favorite dishes with plant-based products that are inexpensive, readily available, and actually good for you. I split this video up into two parts. We're going to do cooking, eggs for cooking, and eggs for baking, okay? Because I have a feeling that most of you watching this video, if you still eat eggs, you probably eat them for breakfast. I think that is one of the most common ways that people consume eggs in the United States. They're easy to make, they are high in protein, and people love them. So let's start there. How can you replace eggs for breakfast? Well, my favorite way to do so is by making a tofu scramble. Hear me out, you guys. Tofu, if you're not familiar, is amazing. It's high in protein, it's inexpensive, it's also a good source of fiber, great source of calcium. You can buy it pretty much anywhere, and it is just as easy to cook as eggs. And it can be used in so many different ways, as you'll see throughout this video. But let's just start with the tofu scramble. Now, tofu comes in different varieties, some soft and silky and some more firm. You can use any type of tofu to make a tofu scramble to replicate eggs. It's so easy. You just break it up with your hand or use a fork. You can cook it with the same vegetables and spices you would add to your eggs. But there's a thing that I like to do to just give it a little bit more color and even more of an eggy flavor. So for a yellowish color, just add a little dash of turmeric to your tofu. And for an eggy flavor, you're gonna wanna use something called black salt. You can buy this online or at your local Indian grocery store. Just a little goes a long way. This is a sulfur-rich salt. And eggs are rich in sulfur, so that stinky egg quality, the sulfur smell that eggs have, you can also get it from this salt. And you can simply use it when you make your tofu scramble. Another thing about eggs versus tofu in the morning, it's important to start your day with a protein-rich, but more importantly, a fiber-rich breakfast. If you want to stay full for a long time, you want to make sure that it's rich in fiber. Eggs and other animal products have literally no fiber. However, plant-based products are rich in fiber. And tofu, while it is not like super duper high in fiber because it is made from soy milk and the solids have been removed and some of the fiber has been removed, it's still a significant amount of fiber for one serving of a tofu scramble. So keep that in mind. It'll keep you fuller for longer. It's gonna help you regulate your blood sugars so you don't have that high spike of, in the morning and then crash in the afternoon where you're starving or tired. Tofu scramble is so easy to make. And you can find tofu these days at any well-stocked grocery store across the entire nation. Okay, I know, but you're probably thinking, well, I don't just have scrambled eggs, I love an omelet for breakfast. How can I do that? Well, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can actually make an omelet with tofu, and I like to make something like an egg white omelet with a mix of tofu and aquafaba. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about aquafaba in a bit, but just for a teaser, aquafaba is the liquid that comes from a can of chickpeas or the liquid that comes from cooked chickpeas if you cook it at home on the stove. You can use it mixed with tofu to make an egg white omelet. You can fill that with all your favorite vegetables and mushrooms and whatever you would in a regular egg omelet. Okay, but what if you want eggs but you don't have time and maybe you don't even like to cook? I've got a product for you. I told you I had you covered. There is a product called Just Egg that is amazing. It comes in a little bottle and it's a pourable egg replacement that is 100% plant-based and vegan. And you can use it to make perfect, like you can't even tell the difference, scrambled eggs, omelets. You can use it in baking, but this is a product that you need to buy at the grocery store. You guys know, mostly I give you recipes, but this is a product that you buy at the store and I do highly recommend. I think it's delicious. You can also make a similar egg replacement at home using mung beans. And I've tried this, it's delicious. I have a hard time scrambling it when I make it at home. However, you can still use it to make omelets. And I will link to a recipe down below. It's not on my website, but I found lots and they all turned out great. So I'll link to some recipes for your own homemade DIY Just eggs down below in the description box. Let's jump back to tofu for a minute, because if you like a quiche for breakfast or like those little cute egg muffins that hold together nice and fluffy and you can pack a lot of vegetables in them and you can also make for meal prep, you can make that vegan too using tofu. I've got a recipe for that. I'm gonna link all the recipes down below so don't feel like you'll miss anything. They're gonna be linked down below. Tofu. Tofu is the name of the game. Like I said, tofu is inexpensive, it's high in protein, it's a good source of fiber, and soy, by the way. There is some misinformation and fear about eating soy. So if you are like, oh, I wasn't sure if soy was good or not, I have a video for you. I would love for you to check that out if you're afraid of eating soy. This will reassure you that soy is actually a great ingredient and that can be a part of a healthy diet. And not only that, soy can reduce your risk of certain diseases, especially reproductive cancers. So check that video out if you want to learn more about soy. I will link that down below as well. So now you know what to do for breakfast, right? Wait, but I didn't mention if you're going to have pancakes. How do you have pancakes or crepes and these bready products without eggs? Well, of course, it can be done. My favorite way to replace eggs in recipes like pancakes is to use flaxseed. Flaxseed, oh my gosh, what an amazing product. So flax seeds are little seeds. You need to grind them up because without grinding them, they don't do much of anything. But once you've ground them up, if you mix 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed with 2 tablespoons of water, you have an egg replacement that you can use in almost all of your baking needs. Not just baking, but also for pancakes and also for binding together recipes like meatballs and loaves. Of course, I'm vegan, so lentil meatballs, lentil loaves, even veggie burgers. The flax egg works like an egg to bind your ingredients together. And again, it's so easy to make. Flaxseed also happens to be very inexpensive. It's between $2 and $3 per pound when you buy it at a health food grocery store. You can buy it online, you can find it at almost any grocery store. It's not a specialty item, it's readily available everywhere. Flax is a rich source of omega-3 fatty acids. It's also a good source of fiber, protein, and healthy fats overall. You want to grind your flax fresh to take advantage of, the most benefits from the omega-3 fatty acids. However, if you don't have time to freshly grind your flax in a spice grinder every morning or every day before you use it, you can totally grind it up, keep it in a jar, and just make sure to keep it fresh in an airtight jar in the refrigerator. I think talking about flax is a good transition to talking about replacing eggs and baking, because I do use flax when I'm baking. Flax is especially great in recipes like muffins and quick breads, and it holds those ingredients together. But not only does it hold the ingredients together like an egg would when you're baking, but it also allows for your muffins and your quick breads to expand, to have a nice crumb, to be airy and light. There's another ingredient that also helps to achieve that airy lightness when you're doing vegan baking without eggs, and that is apple cider vinegar, or really any type of vinegar. You can use a white vinegar or apple cider vinegar interchangeably because they are mild. You will not taste them in your final product, even if you're making things like cakes and cupcakes. Now, you don't want to use heavy, very flavorful vinegars like balsamic vinegar. So make sure you use white or apple cider vinegar. If you happen to be out of vinegar, then a good replacement would be lemon juice. And here's why. The vinegar or the lemon juice, that acidic ingredient, reacts with the baking soda that you use in your baked goods. And that basically, you remember being in like kindergarten or first grade, when you had that volcano experiment where you put baking soda at the base on the inside of the volcano, and then you poured some vinegar and it created a big eruption. That is literally what happens in a smaller scale when you're baking with these two products together. It allows for your baked good to rise, to become airy and light, and basically that's what an egg would do. Like in an egg, you do still have to use baking soda, of course, but that lightness, that expansion, that airiness that you also get from an egg, you don't need the egg for that. Apple cider vinegar will do the job just fine. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, okay, yeah, but what if I'm making a pie? How am I going to replace the eggs in something like a sweet potato pie or a peach pie, a peach cobbler, a pecan pie? Y'all, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born and raised in the South on soul food. I get it. How? Okay, I got you though. You can use ingredients like cornstarch to replace eggs in pies. Here's why. Cornstarch is obviously a thickener, and in pies, so are eggs. You can use cornstarch. Now, it's not going to be a one-for-one replacement, like one egg is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Typically, I find that I still need to make some slight adjustments, not all the time, but in some recipes. For example, I have an amazing vegan sweet potato pie. I use cornstarch to help thicken it, but I also found that I needed something else to help it solidify and firm like an egg would do. And instead of just putting more cornstarch, I found that if you use a little bit of butternut squash along with that sweet potato, it firms it up. So sometimes you have to make, little tweaks like that. But that's what I'm here. I'm a recipe developer and vegan chef. So if you need any of the vegan recipes that are eggless, head to my website. And I'm going to link to the pie. I also have an amazing pecan pie, which uses cornstarch and secret ingredient to keep it nice and moist, a little bit of sweet potato. Those ingredients will be linked down below. I also have peach pie, apple pie. Boo, I got you. Check out all these recipes. Eggless, no eggs required, just as delicious. Absolutely satisfying, and soul food grandma approved, okay? Nana approves of all this, all right? So we good.
Delicious, almost as good as mine.
And I told you I wanted to come back to Aquafaba. I mentioned Aquafaba before when I talked about how can you make a plant-based omelet without eggs. Aquafaba is a liquid from a can or a pot of cooked chickpeas. Who even thought to use this. But as you cook the beans, the proteins from the beans are basically released into the water. In that water, you're able to whip it and create light and airy foamy texture. This can be used to make vegan mayo. It can be used in vegan omelets. It can be used in vegan baking to replace eggs, but really egg whites. And it can even be used, it is so good, it can be used to replace egg whites and make a vegan meringue, even vegan French macaroons. That's how amazing Aquafaba is. Now, I'm not much of a baker, so I don't use it that much, but a little funny anecdote, one of my favorite uses of Aquafaba is to make a whiskey sour. Well, my take on a whiskey sour. I've got this recipe in my new cookbook, Vegan Vibes. It's called a dirt candy sour. And you know, a whiskey sour typically has egg white and it's like foamy on the top. Aquafaba, y'all. Aquafaba will do the job just fine. All right. So now you know, y'all, there are so many things you can be using to replace eggs, and this should help you save money. You do not need to be out here spending $12 on a carton of eggs. It's not necessary. You don't need to be trying to raise your own chickens when you know you don't even have time. I know you don't have time. Y'all don't have time to do meal prep half the time, but you can start your own chicken coop. Okay. It doesn't have to be that difficult. You can still make the most delicious baked goods and recipes, savory, breakfast, everything using plant-based ingredients. And I hope this video was helpful to you. If I missed anything, please share it below. I wanna know how you guys replace eggs. And also, if you're not a vegan, how are you dealing with this? How are you dealing with the price of eggs right now? Let me know. I hope it gets better for all of us, but most importantly for the chickens and for our planet. I hope we can move away from factory farming because it is terrible for the entire world. This is why I became vegan, because I could not stand to, purchase products that were coming from these type of conditions. Animals born to be raised, to live in these type of conditions, to only live for a few months, never having any exposure to love and affection and tenderness. It's literal hell for these animals, and that's why I became vegan. I will link to some more information about why you too might want to become vegan if you love animals, all right? And yeah, so check all that stuff out below. Recipes, more articles, some YouTube videos about why you need to become vegan if you care about animals. And let's have a chat in the comment box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time. Bye.